everybody. Today I'm talking about letting yourself off the hook. Now, if you've been following along with my video adventure, I had committed to doing a video a day for 30 days. I'm calling it the Grand Experiment. And I totally missed yesterday. But there was a reason I missed yesterday. And it was because we were driving all day. We went to see my in-laws. It was a wonderful day. We didn't get back till later in the evening, and I was wiped out. And I just said, you know what? I got to give myself permission to skip today. I figured a lot of you were out on holiday adventures anyway. And yeah, just practiced a little bit of self-care and listening to what I needed in the moment and honoring that. So my apologies for that, but I'm back today, and I should be here for the next many days. Melissa, you made it! Awesome! So now you can see how to make it live. For those of you who are watching along, again, a few little nuts and bolts. Please feel free to like and follow the page. If you want to be notified about when the live videos start, just make sure that your notifications are turned on when you're on the main homepage of the Allegra Stein coaching page. With this video, please like it, please share it, especially this one is going to be really good if you know someone who has made some kind of mistake, or they're, just feeling bad about something that they did, an error, a mistake, something that they're just kind of can't stop thinking about, because that's what I want to talk about today. And yeah, so feel free to share it, and also leave your comments, please. And again, depending on where you're watching, I don't know where the comment block is, but you can leave all your comments and questions below, even if you're not watching live, because I will be following up with those just throughout the day and into the future. Okay, so I wanted to start off today with a story to illustrate just what I wanted to kind of give you guys today as far as action hacks, right? My thought and action hacks to kind of help you move forward and get unstuck and start taking action on things. I have 2 children, and I'm married, and my daughter had a well visit scheduled with her pediatrician, and I had scheduled that for Saturday, this past Saturday. Now, I also deal with my husband's job schedule, kind of makes it important to coordinate and make sure everything is set up. So everything was in place for me to take my daughter to her well visit to the doctor. So I left on Saturday morning. We got in the car, we drove down, it's about 20 minutes to the pediatrician's office. My son was at home with my husband. We got to the hospital where the doctor's office is. It was very quiet because it's a holiday weekend. We went upstairs, we got up to the thing, doors locked, and realized that we were a week early to the doctor's appointment. There was no doctor's appointment. What made it even a little more zingy for me was that I had gotten an email reminder saying, your appointment is on June 4th or June 3rd, which is this coming Saturday, not the Saturday we just had. On my personal calendar, it wasn't even this past Saturday. It's this coming Saturday. So there was nothing wrong with the system that I have in place for keeping track of things. I had just completely, for whatever reason, botched the time. We were legitimately a week early for no reason other than my own lapse of just double checking things. So what happened was that I immediately just felt deflated. I felt silly. I felt kind of stupid. I felt, I don't know, I was confused just because I couldn't explain to myself how that had possibly happened. And we left, I was with my little girl, and I didn't want to, make too much of it. I'm like, well, we're a week early, and I had to text my husband, and be like, well, I'm a week early, and I feel kind of silly about it. We're going to pick up some bagels. I just tried to gloss over it, but it took me the morning really to try to process all of the thinking that I had about it. And going back to what I shared the other day, I knew that the feelings weren't coming from being late or being a week early and missing the appointment. I knew in my heart that my response to it was coming from the thoughts that I was having about having screwed up the schedule so much. So a couple of things that I want to share with you, and if you have something like this in your life, please raise your hand. Just type in yes in the comments, or being like, yes, I know what that's like, if there's any little moment that you've had. And here's the thing, hey Miranda, here's the thing. I get that there's like a scale of mistakes. Okay, so we might like to measure them. Like my mistake really wasn't that significant. You know, yes, that it kind of shifted schedules around, and I ended up taking my daughter on an adventure ride for an hour for no reason. And but yes, okay, so Melissa gets it. She's like, yes, all the moments, right? All these moments of error, of things not happening the way that we thought we'd planned them, and we feel responsible for that happening. So I get that there's this scale, okay, and that some mistakes feel bigger. They feel like the consequences are more significant. My mistake wasn't like that. My mistake, hi Laurel, yay, so glad you're here. I've seen you sharing comments, and I've really appreciated them. I'm glad that you're live. So as I kind of shared in some of the earlier videos, as I talk about some of the ideas I want you to walk away with, pick something kind of low on the pain consequence scale. All right, so as you start to maybe run your own little mistakes or things through what I'm about to share, don't pick the most painful consequential one. The metaphor I came up with, it's like, you know, it's like trying to learn the piano. You don't try and play Bach if you haven't learned yet how to do a scale. All right, so start simple, because it's easy to want to jump to the most painful, most sticky, most consequential moments in our lives to try and apply some of this stuff, and there can just be a lot of resistance. So pick something simple. My example is a simple one. I had simply been a week early to an appointment with my kid. Okay, here are the things that I wanted you to walk away with, and as ideas come up with you, if things are resonating, please share in the comments to the side, because I'd love to know what's coming up for you, because what matters from your time spent on this video is nothing that I say and everything that you hear. So please share what you're hearing. All right, first, as I was driving, I had this realization that the reason that I was feeling so crummy was because I took that mistake, and instead of judging the mistake, right? Oh, I was a week late, you know, or I was a week early. How could I have prevented that? I was judging myself. I was saying, ugh, I'm stupid. Ugh, I'm losing my mind. Oh my gosh, like how could I have made such an error? Oh, I'm embarrassed. I was really embarrassed. So I had this moment of like, wait a minute, the mistake isn't me. And talking about the mistake is different than talking about me. And I realized that that feeling of embarrassment and, you know, just ickiness was because I was judging myself for that mistake. And that was a really important moment, and I shared it with my daughter, this idea like, listen, you can make mistakes, and we can talk about how to change them and shift them and make sure they don't happen again, and we can say, that probably wasn't the best thing. But that's different than taking it on as ourselves as a person. Like, I am not a stupid person. Like, I am not a dim-witted person. Like, that was just an important thing, and something that I want you to think about as well, that when you talk about the decisions you've made, talk about whatever the thing is that you would label as a mistake, as much as possible, try and tease that moment apart from who you are inside, and realize that they're two totally separate things. And you can talk about the moment and decide you want to change it, but don't then let that turn into, oh, this is saying something about me as a person in my core and in my heart, because that's a totally different story that can be very, very painful. So that was the first thing, and one that I want you to think about. If this is resonating at all, or you're kind of hearing it, just click yes or wave in the comments, because I would love to know that you're out there and that if it's sticking. Okay, second thing. Okay. The second thing when I think about your mistakes is, as much as possible, shift from, I can't believe that happened before now, thanks for the likes, I can't believe that happened before now, to what is it that I want to learn from this moving forward? Okay, yay, Felicia, I'm so glad you're out there and watching. Thank you for sharing. So coaching really, you know, is less about what's happened up until this moment, which is all the things that may have happened in your past that you've been thinking about and wondering about, and more about, from this moment forward, what do you want to have happen next? So that was a really good shift for me, and perhaps one that you could be making too, is, all right, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to show up a week early for a doctor's appointment with my kid and shift all the schedules. So what can I put in place to make sure that happens? double checking my calendar every morning, right? Double checking appointments, not just letting my own brain kind of take over with what it's expecting, which was, I expected it to be this past Saturday, but I didn't cross-check it with what I actually had in front of me, which were these reminders in my calendar. So what lesson do you want to learn from your mistake moving forward? It's the second question, ask yourself. Okay, a third thing, and this is one of my favorites, and again, one that I shared with my daughter in the car that morning, is I am a big believer, and it's probably just admittedly to make myself feel better when things are feeling bonkers. I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason, even if you never know what that reason is. I spoke the other day about my original coach, trainer, mentor. Her name is Brooke Castillo, and she said, that the thought that feels really good is that everything that's happened up until now was supposed to happen. That just feels better, right? It's a thought that feels better than, I shouldn't have done that, this shouldn't have happened. Trying to change the past is really just kind of seeing everything that's happened in the past as this big chain of things that's led up to where we are now. So I want to reassure you, as I reassured myself, that you may never know the reason that something happened, that a mistake happened, that things transpired the way they did, but as much as possible, trust that it was supposed to happen, because you don't know what would have happened if everything had gone according to plan, and it might seem very simple, but in my mind, I just thought, you know what? I wasn't supposed to be on the road where I would have been if we'd been at that appointment. And I was supposed to be at that bagel shop, that we weren't even planning. I don't know why. And my husband and my son were supposed to be on their own this morning for those 45 minutes to an hour, even though we didn't do the appointment. All of those things brought me to terms with that the net was cast and it's exactly how it's supposed to be, and we're all exactly where we're supposed to be, even if this moment didn't happen like I thought it would. All right, so as much as possible, just start working that thought into your story. Everything leading up until now was supposed to happen. It's all worked out the way that it's supposed to have worked out, even if it's not clear. And that's kind of key, because you may never ever know, but that's okay. All right, and the final thing that I wanted to share with you is something called, and this one just hit me this morning, called the birthday principle. And I could do a whole video on the birthday principle, and maybe I will. Have you ever had a birthday? And if you understand this, please acknowledge it in somehow with a like or a yes or a wave. Have you ever had a birthday and 99 people wish you a happy birthday, but all you can think about is the one person who didn't wish you a happy birthday? Right? And you kind of go to bed, you're like, why didn't they call me? Why didn't they text me? I didn't hear from this person. And we focus on that 1% of things and almost lose sight of the 99% of great things. And I realized, and this is relative to my experience, was I schedule a lot of things very successfully. Thanks, Miranda, for the likes. I keep track of a lot of things, a lot of logistical things for my kids and my fam and the house and all that stuff. And I had to remind myself that the birthday principle was in play, that I was judging myself for one instance of this machine when 99% of the machine flows really well all the time and doesn't have these little hiccups. So I'm curious for you, if the thing that you reflect on is being like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or there was this error there, and oh, that didn't feel so comfortable. Really ask yourself and give yourself permission to celebrate and be okay with the other 99% of things in life that are going good, that you're doing great, and you are. And if you're having a hard time getting in touch with that, my assignment to you is to start noticing it. Deliberately say, what are 10 things that worked out fine today? What are 5 things that worked out great today? And if that feels hard, what's one thing that just worked out just as it should today, or it feels good, or it's something you can celebrate? Because I don't want you to lose that mental energy on the 1%, right? That birthday principle, the one person who didn't say happy birthday, and lose sight of the 99 that did. So, curious if anything is coming up for you. I'm going to be here live for another minute or two if you're watching. Any thoughts, any questions, any stuck points, type them to the side or below or wherever you're watching. And yeah, I'll stick around if any of that comes up. In the meantime, while you're sharing that, I wanted to just let you know that the invitation stands for, and I offer this in every video, and if it feels right at some point, I hope you'll take me up on it. But you are invited to have a complimentary discovery call with me when you feel ready for it. If you want to take some of these ideas and implement them for yourself in a one-on-one setting, I would love to explore that with you. So I will, I'll share that link in the comments, and I'll pin it too, so you can take a look at it there. I usually try and like type this out first, but I didn't do a very good job of it, so I'll do that really quick. Super helpful. Thanks, Lager. Thanks, Felicia. And if anything comes, I apologize if I'm not sure if it's Felicia or Felicia, but feel free. I'd love to know just what's, you can always come back in and share comments, even if it's later in the day, as things like marinate in and new questions come up, because I love questions and comments. This was good. Thanks. Awesome. I'm so glad you can make it here live, Melissa. Were you able to find the notification? Like, did it pop up? There you go. There's the link if you want to pop it over there. Awesome. All right, thanks. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm curious if this noon thing is working. I'm doing it at noon EST, but I should probably try and mix it up a little bit, but that's part of the experiment. And as things come up, I'm not quite sure, Melissa. We'll have to figure that out. We'll stay in touch about it, because I want to make sure that if you want to be here live, you're getting the notification. So, okay. You're all great. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day here in the States, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.